why didn't the Kasich administration come before the controlling board for approval? I guess my question would be, should they have? I mean, would you state that those contracts should have come before the controlling board?
I would state that when you are transferring money from any budget line to another, or one agency to another, the executive knows or should know that the only folks with the power to do that is the legislature. The executive does not have the power independently to move money around. They have to come back to the folks who have the authority to spend that money. So if, in fact, DSA wanted to move money over to JobsOhio, or as the Ohio Beverage Commission was going away, they needed to come back to the General Assembly, and there's two ways to do it, either through controlling board or through a full act of the General Assembly. Otherwise, you're misappropriating money. And so whether or not they had knowledge they were doing that, that's an important question, because with respect to any sort of criminal liability, if they did not have the intention to violate the law, I'm not sure you could say they were criminally liable. But if they did know it, then there starts to be questions about whether or not there's criminal liability here. If you had knowledge with respect to the fact that you were misappropriating millions of dollars, we've got real problems. And I guess the next point is, why would the governor want to interfere with our ability to follow a hot lead on a potentially criminal action? That is not sound public policy. In fact, what he should be doing is saying, we need people to come in and look at this as quickly as possible so that documents don't walk away, so that we've got folks like the director of DSA who's here and available and can answer questions to you. Mark Kwame has already left the state. Chris Schmank's on her way out of the state. These are individuals that we need to answer questions, and frankly, they should be answering them to the members of the General Assembly.
And you both have suggested that the timeline of Director Schmank leaving is questionable, and certainly it would seem it's at least awkward to have a change now. But to play devil's advocate, you would think that Director Schmank would have signed those contracts either at the direction or with the knowledge that the Kasich wanted her to do that. So why would they? If you're suggesting she was pushed out, why would they do that?
I don't think I can draw a conclusion on it. Again, I think it goes back to the governor. Governor, please come forward and provide full disclosure so we can make certain that we understand why she's leaving and that it isn't for some curious reason. And so we are not able to stand here and answer those questions with any certainty, given the fact that DSA, the governor's office, nobody seems to want to disclose what's going on. As soon as they do disclose, we're going to be able to make better conclusions as to what's going on here.
Well, and it breeds conjecture, right? If they're unwilling to come in and testify, and I mean in particular JobsOhio, then it breeds conjecture. What are we to think? Where's the money? How are we to follow anything if we don't even have their budget in front of us that details how the money's being spent, where it's coming from, and how it's going out? We have it for everybody else, and so it raises the question: why not? Why won't you just simply come in and give us the answers that we're looking for? It seems so simple, and yet they're unwilling to do it, and so that becomes problematic.
You mentioned asking Chairman Hofstad for a subpoena to force them in. Is that something that the committee needs to vote on? Is that something he can do on his own? And when do you think that'll happen, and what are the chances of that?
My understanding is that the committee would have to vote on that as to whether or not that subpoena would move forward, and they would be subpoenaed to come in. And I would expect that we would do that as soon as full finance reconvenes.
Have you discussed that with Chairman Hall?
I have not.
No, I have not had that conversation either.
That's a Republican majority, though, right?
It is, and we obviously, Bill Batchelder and Keith Faber, the Speaker of the House and the Senate President, both seem to be on record saying they're going to fight to make sure that JobsOhio doesn't have to disclose their records publicly. So we certainly can anticipate that Republicans are going to fight. I tried to offer an amendment on the floor yesterday so as to require disclosure of public records, and the Speaker very quickly tried to stop me from offering that amendment.